Now, I've been asked this question quite a few times over the years, and I've had a similar ring come across my bench quite often, and that is, can this ring be sized? And the short answer is yes, can be sized. Now, there is a little trick to it, and in today's video, I'll show you what that trick is. So if you're a jeweler or a client who owns one of these rings, this is how it gets sized. The thing that makes this ring difficult to size is the stones on the side. So this ring, in this particular case, this ring had to go down 4 sizes. And a rule of thumb is you cannot size these rings down more than 1 or 2 sizes with the traditional method. Because when you cut a piece from the band and you bring it in, the claws actually pull away from the stones, and then they tend to fall out. And these rings are also mass produced and cast in a way where the metal is quite brittle. So you tend to always have issues with these styles of rings because they get cast with the stones in place. In order to do that, they need to have the metal at the lower melting point so the stones doesn't get damaged. But in today's video, I'll show you how you can avoid all that nonsense. So let's get into it. Now, there's a few different ways of doing this, but in today's video, I'm going to show you the sleeve method. That is when you make a separate band and you actually insert it into the ring at the correct size. So you make a new band that's the correct size, and the thickness of the band should be calculated so it fits on the inside of the original ring. So in that way, you have a band that's the correct size and it presses into the original ring. And that way, you actually reduce the size. So you start off, oh, by the way, this is a 10 karat ring, right? So the customer already spent quite a bit of money on that ring. So they didn't want to or didn't have the funds to actually spend on resizing it. So they've opted to use a sterling silver sleeve that's going to be press fit into this one. And we'll stamp it accordingly. Be sure to stamp it accordingly, because if it ends up going to another jeweler or someone else has to work on it, they need to be aware that the inner sleeve is silver and the outside of the ring is 10 karat gold. Because if they try and cut it or work on it and they try and solder it with 10 karat white gold solder, they're going to have a bit of problems because the silver can't or won't be able to handle those temperatures, and it'll just melt or disintegrate. So be sure to stamp it. Back to the video. I started off with melting some silver, pouring into a bar, rolling it to the correct width and thickness. Now, I did over roll it a bit, but I work differently because I can use those offcuts for something else again. I cut a strip wide enough or slightly wider than the inside of the band, and then bend it into a ring shape, making sure the size is accurate, because you cannot go back and resize it. So make sure your sizing is accurate. Once you have your sleeve soldered and it's ready to go, you've made it round, you checked your size, double checked your size, then you have to press fit it into the ring. Now, the ring is tapered, so it gets a bit tricky to get it to fit perfectly on the first go. I end up filing a bit of a chamfer on the side of the sleeve, on the top end where it goes in underneath, and that creates a little ramp as such, so it goes into the ring. So now that you have your sleeve fitted and you're happy with the way it sits, it's time to solder. I generally just solder at the base of the ring because the top section gets too close to the stones, and if they ever, and there's also patterning and grid work underneath on the inside of the original ring. So if they ever should decide they want to remove the sleeve, it won't ruin the whole ring. So they can just cut sections away, pull the top bit out, and then grind the inside of the bottom bit away. Now that you have it soldered, it's time to clean up. And you just got to be careful and take your time with the cleaning up process. Use the tools that's available to you. Get creative, because you want it to be smooth and even, and you want it to look like it's meant to be there. You don't want it to look like you've placed it in another ring inside this ring. You know, make it look good. You want the customer to still be proud of wearing a ring. And you don't want it to be too noticeable that you've made the ring 0.8 millimeters thicker. So basically, just do a proper job. And if you are someone that's not in the jewelry industry and you're watching this video, go to your local jeweler, explain to them or send them the link to this video and tell them you want your ring sized in this fashion, because that's the least intrusive way of sizing your ring, this sort of style of ring, and with the least amount of damage to your ring. And risk, you don't have the risk of stones falling out later because of the sizing. The stones could still fall out because of the manufacturing side of the ring, but it won't happen because of the sizing of the ring. So I hope this video gave you a bit of insight. If it did, I'm glad I could be of some assistance. If you don't mind, I would appreciate you liking the video and perhaps consider subscribing to the channel. And we're going to do more videos like these where it's problem solving with jewelry. So thanks again for watching. We're going to play the rest of the video out with Xander's polishing the ring, and a nice end shot of the ring polished and rhodium plated and complete. And you can let me know what you think of the end result. Would you want to have your ring size this way, or would you prefer something different? Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Junkie Jeweler out.